Hey, good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn of Z's. Your sip of tea, I don't have it. I don't know where it is. Um, Day 10, about halfway through the cleanse, feeling good. Weighed in at 11 pounds gone. But it's not a diet, right? Those of you who are doing I heard there's 400 people doing it. I don't know how many are still doing it. We're in the smoothie week, which is like taking exactly what we were eating before and you just put it in a blender to pre-digest it. And then Amy's made some amazing raw soups. Cold soup, just amazing. Carrot and coconut is one of my favorites, but there's a mushroom soup. Anyway, hang in there, guys. We're halfway through, and you should feel a lot better and start feeling a little lighter. It's a little different. It's a mind game when you do this. You're still taking in the same nutrients. It's just in a different form. So hang tough. Drink a lot of water. All right, here we go. The Dow is teetering. Not teetering to go down, teetering to go up, because today they're supposed to sign the China deal. But here's the question. What's next? For the last 6 months, we've been hearing about this China deal. First phase of China. Oh, it's an amazing deal, blah, 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 blah. Well, they're going to sign the deal, and then they're going to release the deal, and they're going to say, oh, well, what's next? What is the narrative for the stock market? Steve Mnuchin can still click his mouse and make it rise, fall, or go sideways. From the basement of the U.S. Treasury that has a computer trading floor that trades derivatives, basically, through the Exchange Stabilization Fund. So that's not a problem. The question is, where do they want to click the mouse? And what's going to be the next story for the stock market to go up? We're at all-time bubbles and everywhere. I don't think there is a story left. Although, I'll show you this. Actually, I'll show you right now. Yesterday on the private road, I talked about the new Fed plot to bail out other repo players. Because it's not just the banks in there that are 100% dependent on that $2.2 trillion derivative repo market. I call it a derivative market. It is. These are overnight loans. It's like it's not even happening. You wake up the next day, you got a completely separate loan. That's what you can do with computers. You can do overnight loans where it's paid, not paid. It's all done with a computer. It used to be you have to sign contracts, you have to put the deal, have risk management sign off on it. You don't have to do that anymore. That's why the hedge funds love the repo market. But they aren't allowed to play. Or are they? Anyway, go to the private road. You can click on that and check that out. I will continue on that theme later today on a private road post. So the stock market, hanging tough today, but what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day? Probably Steve Mnuchin will continue to bump it up as oh my God, the market loves the new China deal. And then Monday's like, reality, where do we go from here? That's my take. And this is from Zero Hedge. World stocks pause at record high to assess U.S.-China trade deal. U.S. equities dipped and world stock eased off record highs Wednesday, with U.S. and German bond yields slipping as euphoria over the China deal set to be announced today fizzled after Steve Mnuchin said tariffs on billions of dollars of Chinese goods coming into the U.S. are likely to stay in place until after the U.S. presidential election. Steve Mnuchin's the guy who decides where the price of the Dow goes. So obviously he wanted the price to go down, and then the trade deal will be released, and then boom, look at 300 point, 400 point, 500 point gain on the trade deal. Glory be, complete bullshit lie in a click of a mouse. And that doesn't stop the world's biggest criminal bankster. JPMorgan just posted the best year of any U.S. bank in history. A bank that is up on RICO charges is allowing to continue to function with the criminals behind. It is just embarrassing for the entire global economic system. It is embarrassing for the U.S. regulators. The SEC and the Federal Reserve is the regulator of JPMorgan. Why wasn't JPMorgan taken down after the Bernie Madoff scandal? $50 billion Ponzi scheme, so they said. I think they said 60. It's actually 600 billion. $60 billion Ponzi scheme, one banker, JPMorgan. How is that possible that this bank is even operating? Because it's part of the crime syndicate. They're in with the federal government. Although the DOJ is now going after them for RICO charges for rigging the gold and silver markets, and yet they're still the biggest player in gold and silver. It is amazing the criminality that goes on. What does it all mean? Get your assets out of the system. Gold and silver in your own possession. If you have any cash in the bank, get it in your own possession. Yes, there's nothing wrong with going to the bank every couple days to put money in to pay bills. There's nothing wrong with that. Get that cash in your own possession because you don't want any third-party risk. The banks don't even want any third-party risk. That's why the repo market's going crazy. But more on JPMorgan. Here's the latest from Martin Armstrong. India's Supreme Court on Monday directed the government's crime-fighting agency, the Enforcement Directorate, the ED, to seize local assets of JPMorgan in relation to some transactions the bank engaged in with a local real estate company in 2010, according to the Press Trust of India report in Business Standard. The ED alleged that the U.S. bank was involved in transactions that violated India's foreign exchange laws and direct investment norms. The ED was further quoted as saying that JPMorgan had bought shares in two companies of Amparali Group, which was later sold to shell companies of the same group and the profit repatriated to its home country. These criminals are doing it everywhere, every time you turn around, using shell companies to hide repatriation of funds, get around taxes. Kuala Lumpur is concerned about India's new curbs on import of palm oil, blah, 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 blah. Yes, JPMorgan is a crime not only in America, but around the world. Today, in my repo report on the private road, I'm going to talk about where we are and how they got past December 31st. Not only did they use the $1.5 billion in $100 bills, as Steve Mnuchin claimed, but Goldman and JPMorgan were tweaking the repo operations to keep them off books. Where have we heard this before? Can you say Enron? These criminals are ridiculous. Crypto market's still going crazy. Be careful. It's 100% rigged at all times. I'm not saying get out. Don't get out at all. But don't just be ready for a huge slam down at any time they want to click a mouse. That's all they have to do. Bitcoin SV is no longer above $400, no longer with an $8 billion market cap. Yesterday I put out a video saying Bitcoin SV will crash when Craig Wright at the end of the month can't prove that he's Satoshi. Now what I think he's trying to do is do a pump to get the money to pay his way out of that lawsuit that he lost. He had to pump Bitcoin SV. I don't know how much money he got by pumping it and then selling it. This is the way these guys do it. They belong in jail. They don't belong out here in the crypto sphere. But yeah, do not get near that crypto with a 10-foot pole, in my opinion. Because the reason they said it went up is Craig Wright's going to prove by the end of the month that he is Satoshi. The reason it will go down and be destroyed is Craig Wright will be unable to prove that he's Satoshi. What I think he's trying to do is come up with I think it was $2 billion that he owes. Well, the Bitcoin SV went up to $8 billion. He must have got some of it. Pure market rigging. Oh, it's embarrassing. They're probably part of the crypto cabal, in my opinion, but I don't know. I haven't done that much research on them. Because they're both criminals. Air and Wright. In my opinion. And they've both been busted, so yes, they are officially criminals. Or they were, at least. Silver price is being held on the down low. Keep it steady. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't let it go up. Don't let it go past $18. $19 is trouble. $20 is a killer. Can't let it go up. Can't let it go up. That's Steve Mnuchin. Clicking his mouse in the basement of the Treasury. Don't let it go up. Don't let it go up. With JPMorgan, the criminal market rigger, playing games every single day. Remember, every dollar that the price of silver goes up, top 3 or 4 banks that are short silver lose $1 billion on paper. That's a lot. $1 billion. Actually, it's the top 7, but the concentration is in the top 3. 3 or 4. I would say number 1, Citibank. Number 2, JPMorgan on the short side. Number 3, Deutsche Bank. And Deutsche Bank actually might be number 1, but I don't know their numbers at all. It's from the OCC. They're just counting U.S. banks. And number 4, I'd say, is HSBC. Those are the 4 big criminals at the moment. And then you have the hedge funds like BlackRock, huge into silver manipulation and gold manipulation. That everything's hidden. Huge. They're the owner of the SLV, just darkest hedge fund they're out there. It's crazy. It's crazy, my friends. Again, if you want to join the private road, check out my new video. I'll also be putting another one up today for the private road and one up for Patreon channel. Hit subscribe today at roadtoruda.com, and I will send you a Veritasium token as well as the silver Ruda coin. The only place you can get it is by joining the private road. Bix Weir, I'll talk to you guys later.